Hey guys, how's it going? It's Neil from Global Guitar, and today I'm going to take you on a tour through my book, The Guitar Simplified. Here we go. Alright, so this is my own personal copy. Yours will come new. This one's been thumbed through quite a bit. So let's kind of get into some of the parts of the guitar, the neck. We got the guitar woods, guitar pickups. This is tuning a guitar. You're going to have all the different guitar body types, which is cool. How to hold the guitar and the neck and the pick. Pretty cool stuff here. And you got your different pick shapes, intro to finger picking. Just get a little, an overview of that. Also an overview of slide technique with a couple different tunings and talking about the different types of slides. You got different amp configurations, kind of intro overview to amps. This is a cool page. It's intro to guitar effects. Tells you what each one does. Different things like reverb, distortion, echo, delay. And then it shows you the preferred order. Of course, experimentation is encouraged. Here we got different ways to read chord grids and scale grids, which are very useful when you're trying to learn the guitar right at the beginning and, on. Here we have, let me see, finding your notes on the neck. You learn the first couple strings and then kind of use these octave shapes to work your way back and forth up the neck. Here we got intro to tab, all different techniques you can do, which are cool just to practice too. Just say, oh, practice my bends, practice these sort of hammer-ons and whatnot. Here we have intro to strumming, which is pretty great. Has a bunch of different strum patterns and the different songs that they're from. It kind of gives you a guide to general technique. Let's see what's on the next page. We got finger exercises, different permutations of the finger exercises, breaking them up, that sort of thing. Just to, get your fingers moving. A little chapter summary there. Now, you kind of get into rhythm. Talking about rhythm in different ways, not getting too heavy with it, real simple. Rhythm is important. It's 50% of music if you think about it. Alright, well maybe a third. Rhythm, harmony, and emotion. I don't know. It's up to you. Talking about rest, talking about time signatures, strong and weak beats, which is great. Odd meters over here. It's got a lot packed in here in this little area. Triplets, tuplets, ties, dotted notes, you got everything. Swing feel, very cool for the blues. You got syncopation, different types of syncopation, and how to practice the metronome. Different metronome patterns you can practice. The chapter summary. So now we've covered rhythm, we're getting into scales. Starting with the chromatic scale, talk about moving that up and down the neck. And we talk about the different intervals here between the chromatic scale. That doesn't mean anything too crazy if you know about intervals, just talking about the space between notes. See? Keep getting larger. The sound is different. So it talks a little bit about that. It shows them on the piano. Sometimes that's easier to visualize, just to see how the gap between the notes gets wider every time. And then talking about now dropping some notes from the scale, so you can make the chromatic, different scales out of the chromatic scale. Examples of that. And then we talk about the modes, using one scale to create, 7, 8, different modes out of it. It's pretty cool. Then we get into moving those around the neck, so you start talking about key signatures and different enharmonic equivalents with two notes of the same note. Got your interval grid. That's tells you the major scale or the intervals in each key. So if you're trying to build a scale, here's just a list of scales. You can use these formulas, play the different notes in that form, and you get all these different scales. So you shouldn't need any more scales than that. So now we're into chords. Talking about breaking up scales now, making smaller sections, just selecting certain notes to create chords out of them. Different types of chords, different types of triads. On the piano, same thing. You know, just to visualize it in different ways, moving up the neck, or, you know, the different common fingerings for it, both bar chord and open chord. So, you know, pretty thorough. Again, a lot in a small area. Let's see. This is talking about the different chords, diatonic chords in each key. You know, they're like a chord family. Different tensions you can add to you know, create tension. These are all the open chords here. Important chords to know, especially if you're just starting out. Those are the ones to start with right there. Power chords, maybe those are the ones to start with because they're fun. It's you just move them up and down the neck. A lot of rock music, metal music, whatever. They use those. Bar chords, those are like full-on power chords. You play all the notes. You got suspended chords, all your different open suspended chords. You got all the bar chords built off the E string, bar chords built off the A string, bar chords built off the D string. That's plenty of chords and way to organize them. You got, now we talk about inverting chords, taking the lowest note and moving it to the highest note, and then, you know, so it's pretty interesting. That's when you start moving up the neck, and this is where kind of you can unlock the neck a bit in your mind, or in music too. It's cool. So talk about slash chords, you know, chords played by slash. What? No, just kidding. Seventh chords and their inversions. Drop two chords now if you're getting into super jazz. That's some good stuff. Different voicings, they call it, ways to set up chords. Talk a bit about the caged system, which is cool. It's a popular technique to memorize the neck in a way. And talking about voice leading a bit. Talking about trying to construct chords right above each other to you know, make a smoother sound rather than jumping all around the neck. And that probably makes you good. All right. Chordal harmony, that's cool stuff. That's really cool. If you're vamping over just a solid tone, or even if, you know, you can get crazy with it, playing over changes and stuff like that. You can get crazy with it. I'm not sure I can. We got diatonic functions. Not yet, anyway. Diatonic functions. Now we start getting into harmony. Talking about, so now you know the chords, you know the scales. Now what do you do with them? Alright, you just kind of use this section to organize them into different groups. You get your primary chords. Now you're talking about relative minor. Each major scale has a corresponding minor scale. Talks about, shows each of those. But, you know, again, there's not a lot of text. I just want to point out, so I just keep it short and sweet. It's all packed in there. So you get a lot of info combined with the graphic. Circle of fifths here. What was this? Yeah, minor scales. Now we got two different ways, the common ways that you go through a major progression. So if you're writing a song in a major key, you kind of start here and bounce around, you know, until you get back to major. On this one, it's minor, which is, you know, pretty popular. You bounce from here, you know, wherever you want to land, and then kind of make your way back. Or just go that far and then go back, or that far, go here and move back, whatever, you know. It's just a kind of a roadmap, suggestions that seem to work. Now we're talking about borrowed chords and borrowing chords from other keys. to add a different sound to your progression, you know, or to modulate. Here's a list of common chord progressions and you know, chords to use with them, and examples here, you know, With or Without You, The Weight, Like a Rolling Stone, Mr. Jones, you know, Run Around. It's cool. Those are like the most popular ones, you know. Like they say there's only 12 stories and you keep telling it over and over. Well, there's only, you know, 12 chord progressions. That's it. Wrong. That's not right. But anyway, here we got Deceptive Resolutions. Now we're getting into some jazz harmony, man. We're getting way up there. You do see this in pop and rock, though. But Secondary Dominance, maybe not that. Maybe. I don't know. It's up to you. Extended Dominance here. And Substitute Dominance. Now we're getting into key modulation. Let me take a drink real quick here. Alright. So we got key modulation. Talking about yeah, changing keys. And, you know, for your chorus, maybe you want to switch keys, or you want to, for the bridge, you know, go to the key based off the 6th chord. If you read this, check it out. That'll make sense to you. Types of modulation, like pivot modulation and shift modulation, what they call truck driver modulation. The blues progression in different forms. You got 12-bar blues, 8-bar blues, talking about different ways to play that on the neck. That's that'll get you a lot of traction. You get a lot of mileage out of that lesson. Modal writing. Say you want to write. See, wrote my notes here. I got different notes. Modal writing. This is if you want to write in a, you know, as a mode, Lydian or Ionian, Dorian. It always ends up sounding like major, going back to the major sound, unless you kind of pick the right chords. So that talks about that. Chord scale theory, how you can pair up a scale, an arpeggio, and a chord. So this chord, for that chord, you play that scale, you know, and it kind of picks 5 different ways you can play over one chord. Shows an example of, you know, how many choices you have, which is great. But then it talks about common scale options. So if you have this chord, you can use any of these scales. This chord, you can use any of those scales. So let me see. Talking about chapter summaries, and then here at the end we just have some little infographics I did. Just all the different scales, kind of gives a little brief description of each one, the name of it, the scale tones that are being played. Blues scale, you got dominant pentatonic, that's one of my favorites. Melodic minor pentatonic. You get the natural, major, and minor, you know, scale. Harmonic minor, melodic minor, do like that stuff. Whole tone scale, yeah, a couple symmetrical scales. Diminished scale there. And what else? That's it. So, some more notes. Once again, your copy will be much newer and prettier than mine. But until you get yours, you'll never know. You'll never be able to make your own messy copy out of it. Alright, thanks for watching this.